back with another episode of JR Takes. As always, Ryan and I coming at you with the latest Seattle sports and NFL news. And Ryan, we got a... Who we playing on Sunday? I already forgot.
Dolphins.
The Dolphins, right. Skylar Thompson is coming to town.
Yeah.
Get your tickets fast. But yeah, we are going to kick the Dolphins' ass, I think.
I have a little bit of PTSD from the amount of times we've lost to backup quarterbacks in the last 5 years. So I'm hoping that was just for some reason Pete Carroll going into the team meetings being like, we got this. Who gives a shit? So maybe it'll be different under McDonald. But yeah, I mean, that's a huge blow to the Dolphins. They didn't look that great even with Tua, being completely honest. Their offense is not clicking like it was last year and the year before. So on paper, this should be an easy win, but there's a couple of things that could make this annoying. And one is the Dolphins' run game. We really struggled against the Patriots last weekend, stopping the run. Could be the 10 a.m. start time, could be the trip across the country, could be a lot of things. But bottom line is they didn't execute very well against Rodgers Stevenson and especially Gibson. Even if you want to chalk up that long run as a fluke, A-Chain is a really explosive back, and if they have that same kind of lackadaisical approach to the run game, it could make this uncomfortable for a while for sure.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either, but I just want to, play devil's advocate for the Dolphins' sake.
Sure.
Instead of just writing them off, because I feel like last time I wrote off a team completely was the Rams last year. And then we lost.
You kind of wrote off the Broncos, and they almost beat us.
Yeah, but that was so dumb that it was even close. Like, they looked terrible.
Yeah.
It was only the safeties and the dog shit that really made that a close game. But on defense, I think the Dolphins are probably about an average defense, so maybe the worst defense we've played so far. The Patriots and the Broncos have both looked pretty solid on defense. So what I think is going to come down to is how our offensive line plays once again. You had Anthony Bradford and Laken Tomlinson both show up on the injury report this week, but looks like they're going to play. It remains to be seen on whether or not that's even a good thing, because those guys have not been good so far to start the season. Doesn't look like Kenneth Walker is going to play, unfortunately. And also, other side of the ball, Uchenna Nwosu likely going to miss another game here. But in brighter news, we may get George Fant back. And the tight end whose name is escaping me right now, who we signed in the offseason.
The guy that caught the touchdown against the Chargers?
Maybe.
He just has long hair.
No, not that guy. He hasn't been out at all. It's the guy we signed from I think he was on the Patriots last year, but he's been injured so far. I have
no idea who you're talking about.
I brought him up in the last podcast, and you were like, "Oh, I forgot he was on our team." So he hasn't made an impact yet, but he's a good run blocker. He's going to be in this game. Pharaoh Brown, thank you. God, so annoying when I can't remember a name that I was just talking about. But it is. I mean, Pharaoh. That's a wild.
It's a pretty bold It's a baby. Let's name it Pharaoh, after the Egypt king.
Yeah, let's name our baby Jehovah.
We're going to name our babies Jesus, Moses,
Mary, Abraham. Sorry. Anyways, I think we're going to win this game comfortably if we're going to get into predictions here. I think maybe Mike McDaniel's a great coordinator. Maybe the Dolphins get an opening drive touchdown that pisses us all off. But I don't see it sustaining. I don't know if you watched Skylar Thompson at all when he had to play a year or two ago, but it wasn't great or good.
Didn't he play in a playoff game? And didn't they do okay, though?
Not because of him. They just tried to hide him with the game plan. So that's probably what they're going to do again. And if you have a really good offensive mind, which they do in Mike McDaniel, you can make some noise with that, but I don't think you can sustain that for 60 minutes in Lumen Field with a crowd roaring. Our pass rush has been living in the opponent's backfield through 2 games so far. I'm pretty sure as a team we're forcing pressures at the highest rate. It's 44% of dropbacks are getting pressure.
Which is crazy because we haven't had a pass rush in like 3 years.
I know, and it's not like, Derek Hall and Boye Mafe were on this team last year. And Mafe
It's making
for
me
2
think
years.
it's Mike McDonald that is why we have one.
It could very well be. That could be his, impact showing up so far. And in addition to that, our corners have played like at the absolute peak of the league through a couple games. I was looking at a chart that was like completion percentage allowed and then like yards per route ran. It was some sort of like 2-axis chart where basically if you're on the far upper right quadrant, you're elite. And Tariq Woolen was number 1, and then Devin Witherspoon was like number 4, and then Trey Brown was like number 13 in the league of all cornerbacks.
Wow.
So we're getting excellent pass rush and excellent corner coverage right now, which again makes me think like I don't think Skyler is going to have a very good night out there, and I think the Dolphins are just going to try to run a lot.
I feel like there's no rhyme or reason for this prediction. I'm just going to throw it out there, speak it into existence. I think this is going to be a game where the Dolphins get like a freakishly long touchdown immediately to like Tyreek Hill, and then they just don't score again for like the rest of the game.
I could see it. I've seen that game like I don't know how many times in the 17 years.
Kind of think that's what's going to happen because I feel like that style of gameplay is like right up a backup quarterback's alley. Like, we don't have any tape on this guy. Oh, shit, they just scored a touchdown. And then they're like, okay, he's doing obvious things that we can stop.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And then you know what I mean? So I have a feeling that that's a way this game could play out.
It's really funny you mentioned that because I forget what year this was. It might have been like 2008 or something. But we had a game against the Eagles back when McNabb was the guy for Philadelphia where Seneca Wallace threw a touchdown to Ben Obumanu for like 90 yards the first play of the game. And we were like big underdogs because, Hasselbeck was out and whatever. And I was like, oh, man, we might make this a game. We didn't score again. We lost 24-7. So it could be just like that.
Yeah. So, you never know. But, I have confidence going into this game against Miami. I mean, Tua obviously heading to IR, that kind of a no surprise. Well, kind of a surprise there because the Miami Dolphins are kind of a terribly ran organization and they don't do their due diligence with the rules of the league a lot of the time. So I wouldn't put it past them to be like, oh, get back out there, Tua, we need you. And we'll make this your decision. It's like, I get that, but at the same time, it's like, come on.
What I want to know
the
is
the third time this has happened to Tua?
It is, yeah. And what I want to know is why does he not? Those little things they're putting on the helmets now. Why doesn't Tua have one of those? He should have 2 of those.
Because they look silly.
Who cares, dude?
That's probably why. I'm just saying.
If you're not gonna put like a 45-pound barbell on a chain, put it behind your head, and then do neck ups to make your neck bigger and musclier, like it's gonna keep happening.
Yeah.
So just put the damn hat on your helmet and hope for the best and slide and just protect yourself. Like I think he could play, for another like 6-7 years if he plays like purely to protect himself and just, take what's there and kind of the style that he already plays. But he hurt himself trying to be a hero, like playing hero ball, just diving forward for no reason. Like that's got to be out of his wheelhouse entirely. Because another one of these things, and this could get, at a certain point, I mean, really at the first point, you care about the human being more than the football side of things. And it would be really tragic to see this go down the dark path that it could. So I think he'll be back, but I think I want to see the hat on his helmet. I'm calling it the hat because I don't know what else to call it, the bubble, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Well, since we're talking about the Dolphins, I keep hearing a suggestion throughout this past week that the Dolphins should dial up
Carolina.
a good old. Oh no, I was gonna say Pittsburgh.
Oh,
with Mr. Unlimited going to Miami.
Oh, I have not heard that.
Which I think it would be a good move because the Steelers clearly they don't need the two court. Like Justin is doing enough to win them games. It's not because of Justin that they're winning. Justin's every time I turn on that Steelers game on Red Zone, it's him like airmailing or throwing it out of bounds. He's terrible.
He's just the 23rd best quarterback in the league. Like, that's what he is. And right now, Wilson's probably like the 19th, 20th. So, like, I get why they're not playing him. Justin's younger. Wilson's banged up right now. So I don't necessarily even question what they're doing at this point, especially with the calf injury. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what they would them being the Dolphins would really offer and what would happen if Tua came back, which it sounds like he's going to do. He said he has no plans to retire, but it's an interesting scenario. What I had heard was a Bryce Young rumor to the Dolphins.
I heard that too, but that doesn't really make any sense to me because Bryce Young hasn't shown any redeeming qualities in his game. Why would they do that?
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Like, I mean, to be honest, like if Bryce Young is just cast out to the wolves of free agency within the next year or so, I would be totally down to pick him up if I'm Seattle because, I mean, the guy wasn't the number 1 overall pick for no reason. Like, he has a ton of talent. But what he's shown so far is that someone that small just can't do it, which is crazy because, I thought, after Russell Wilson put up 10 years of Hall of Fame play and Kyler Murray, I mean, granted, Murray is such a crazy athlete. He's kind of an outlier, but he's done it. He's put up Pro Bowl caliber numbers being very small, but Bryce is like short and just frail looking. Like, it's like
I just don't get why, I mean, I agree with you. He is too small, but why was he able to play the way he played at Alabama?
Maybe it's just their program. I don't know. I mean, college, think of Tim Tebow, for example. Granted, not a great comparison, but just how many amazing college quarterbacks do you see just be terrible in the NFL? It's an exponential learning curve to jump into the pros. And, some guys just flat out can't do it. And I think it's way too early to say Bryce Young can't do it. I mean, look at guys like Geno. Look at Baker Mayfield. Look at what Sam Darnold is doing. Alex Smith. There's plenty of times.
Did I not call that?
What, Darnold?
You're looking at the original Darnold believer right here. He's sitting at this table, and he's me.
Okay, well, don't be that proud of it. It's been 2 games, brother. But
and who'd he beat? Who'd he beat?
Oh, I guess we haven't talked about that. The Niners.
Yeah. Your boy
R.I.P.
knocked off the Niners. So
I wish I
put some respect on my man's name.
I should have picked him up off the waiver wire when I had a chance, idiot. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird situation in the NFL right now where I feel like we're very much in a transition time where you've had guys like Roethlisberger, Breeze, Brady, Manning, other Manning, Russell's basically on his way out, Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, all of those great quarterbacks that we watched for more than a decade have kind of all gone by the wayside here beyond Stafford and Rodgers in just the last couple of years here. And you're seeing scoring and just overall quarterback proficiency numbers plummet. But what's interesting about that is Mahomes isn't playing that great either. And he didn't put up that great of stats last year as well. So is it simply because those guys all left, or do you think defenses are actually just confusing the shit out of quarterbacks right now?
It could be the latter. And I don't know. I wish I knew a little bit more about. I wish I knew more than a fan's perspective on
we can talk
defensive
vibes
and
here,
defensive
it's fine.
schemes. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's certainly tough to say because Patrick Mahomes, although he picked it up in the postseason, I had him on my fantasy team. I knew firsthand that he wasn't really doing shit last year for the regular season. And I remember week 1 was it last year when
they lost to the Lions?
Or no, I was just gonna say the NFL in general, the offenses were just not producing at all.
And it was even worse this year.
Yeah. So, I don't know because I know you mentioned in the past about how defenses have really sold out to stop the deep ball, and it's kind of made the game less enjoyable. I don't know if there's something you can put a microscope on to answer your question because I don't really have a good answer for you.
I don't think anybody does because It's funny. Mel Kiper literally today on ESPN said that we should ban cover two high safeties to make the game more interesting to watch, which is like a hilarious thing to suggest. But it's like it's kind of what we were talking about.
I don't see the difference in doing that and banning the shift in baseball. They
Yeah.
did that, and I mean, hasn't really made baseball more interesting, but it's better.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like defense has been made so difficult to achieve in the NFL from all the offensive favored rule changes. I kind of would be like, it would be, I think, short-sighted to make another change in the offense's favor like that, because we got to give people time to adjust to that. And the adjustment right now has been, like check down Charlie, throws over the middle a lot more, stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that people aren't going to figure out a new way to generate explosive plays on offense. So I say we just got to give it time. But yeah, it's a weird time right now, because in your top 10 QBR, top 10 passer rating, top 10 EPA per play, whatever metric you want to use to evaluate quarterback efficiency, in every single one of those categories, in some order, you have like Kyler Murray, who, granted, doesn't necessarily relate with the topic we were just talking about, but he did get kind of written off after the last 2 years, I would say. You have him, you have Derek Carr, who for some reason has been amazing the first 2 games, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and who's the 6th one? I'm blanking on it. Oh well. Anyways, all a bunch of guys that you would not have put in the top 10 in an off-season list, and it's interesting how quickly the NFL changes, because now guys like Baker look like they might be, the future.
Are you thinking of Gardner?
I wasn't thinking of Gardner, but I think, I don't think he's in the top 10. But he always plays pretty well. Like, it's not, he's, very limited in what he can do, but he does it well, kind of thing. Yeah, I'm blanking on who the 6th guy was, but it wasn't someone like Rodgers. It wasn't someone like Mahomes. Josh Allen is still top 10 and everything.
Yeah,
but
now I'm curious.
I'll look it up in post game or something. But yeah, it's weird times right now, and I do feel like, oddly enough, with Geno, we have the type of quarterback that can exploit what defenses are doing, because he's kind of like the opposite of what Russ was really good at, because he's really good at layered throws over the middle, because he's 6'3", 6'4", and can see, and he has more of a leg powered delivery, whereas Russ was a lot of arm.
Mm-hmm.
So he had the crazy moon ball, and that's why he was so good at the deep shots. And Geno has a good deep ball too, but he's really, I think of a couple throws he hit to JSN last week against the Patriots, and it was like just pinpoint. So I just have really good faith in the program we're building here, and it looks like the conference is kind of wide open with how things are going right now.
Yeah, especially I feel like a lot of the teams this year are kind of the same as they were last year, like the Cowboys.
They look terrible so far.
They're just through the first 2 weeks, they're already portraying what they've done in a nutshell for the past 5 years. They beat the shit out of bad teams, and they get their ass beat by teams that are way tougher than them. And
Yeah.
it's like,
we should have beat the Cowboys last year if they didn't throw 700 flags in that game.
the Cowboys should have lost a couple more games than they should have won.
Didn't the Lions get
game?
robbed
Yeah.
against them?
Yeah, they just made up a flag penalty, and then it wasn't true after the game. It was terrible.
Yeah, I forgot what the exact details
That will
were,
only
but...
happen to the Cowboys or the Chiefs. Those are the
Yeah.
only 2 teams that's going to happen to.
Yeah, speaking of which, though, I feel like the Chiefs just have God's grace or something, because
They don't beat themselves, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think that the PI that got called was illegitimate. It just was. Why do you got to hit the guy? He's not going to catch it. But goddamn, they're on it's 4th and 17, and Mahomes throws a terrible pass way over everyone's head, and then they get a game-winning field goal for it. Only the Chiefs, I swear.
Yeah, it's just it makes football when you win that way, it's just how is the casual fan supposed to be like, I enjoyed that? Like, it's fucking bullshit. I don't care if he touched his hand. Like, dude, it's. I don't know. I've just seen the script so many times of, he technically touched him. It's like, so fucking what? It's football. Let them play. Like, there's no guarantee he was gonna catch that ball.
I don't think it would have been possible for him to catch it. It was so far over his head.
It's just, yeah, it's just a bummer to see because you hate when the game is in the ref's hands.
And that's kind of how they won their Super Bowl 2 years ago, if you remember that whole.
Of course I
against
remember
the
that.
Eagles.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. I feel like if you spend all your time complaining about the refs, you're missing the point. But, boy, is it sure as shit annoying to watch over and over again.
Yeah.
I just feel like we lost the Patriots dynasty and immediately got this new one that's, like, harder to stop, seemingly.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, what else we got going on?
Prediction for the game, I think we'll win by 13.
I'm going to say 27-17. It's my
Okay.
final score prediction.
I'm going to go...
I'm being as generous as possible to the Dolphins, too.
I'm going to say... Yeah, I'm going to say it's going to be 27-13. We win by 14.
I could see it. I actually I was driving here thinking of potential final scores, and that one popped into my head. So we'll see who emerges victorious.
Yeah, don't really have too much more to say on the game. Did you happen to see Caleb and CJ's interaction after the game on Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it's a big deal. It seemed like Caleb was just really pissed off at the way he played.
I don't think it's a big deal, but this is like the fifth thing I've seen from Caleb Williams that I was like, are you just an arrogant little shit? Like, that's not a coincidence that he's made me feel that way 5 times. I'm like, dude, you like in Hard Knocks where he's like, I don't get nervous when he was about to play his first preseason game. I'm like, oh yeah, well then what the fuck was that you just did weeks 1 and 2? Because you look nervous as fuck, or you just suck. So
yeah, I mean, I honestly think it might be good for him long term to really kind of
be humbled.
Yeah, which is happening so far. I mean, I know they won the first game, but that's basically because Will Levis was like, and just literally gave the game away, which he did again last week against the Jets. I don't know if you saw that.
I did, yeah.
I don't know if Will Levis is ever going to be good, but he's one of the most entertaining players in the league right now.
He's definitely got talent. Just his decisions are like, whoa, this is really bad.
He's like Brett Favre if you cranked up the like what the fuck times 10.
Yeah, he is kind of like that. Well, because, I mean, think about the team he played for in college. He played for Kentucky, like,
yeah,
which is an SEC school, and played it. I mean, his numbers and his win-loss in at least in his final year in college wasn't anything to smile over. So
yeah, I think they just as a team were a lot better his junior year or whatever is the explanation that I had heard. But yeah, I mean with Levis, it was never any question of his like arm or anything like that. It was just
definitely
like,
got some talent. Like,
he made some throws
physically
that you're like, whoa, like
yeah, his first game against Atlanta last year when they beat them, and he had like that bomb 60-yard touchdown, and they ended up winning. I was like, wow, maybe this guy can play in the league.
It's the kind of throw that only like 10, 15 humans are physically capable of doing.
Which, speaking of which, Anthony Richardson, he's horrible. He played so bad in that Packer game.
I can't believe they lost to Malik Willis.
That's how bad he played. He played so bad he lost to Malik Willis.
And they were like hiding Malik with the game plan. He only threw the ball like 14 times.
It's just so crazy because Anthony Richardson week 1 was making these throws that you're like, oh my God, this guy is a freak. And then he's
kind of the same thing as Will Levis. Like, he's got unbelievable physical tools, but he can't hit the layups. I think that's his problem. I think he has a tough time with the loft like fade passes.
Mhm.
Like he has no touch. He needs to work on that aspect of his game.
Yeah.
It's something Lamar was not good at all for a long time. He's gotten better at it.
Yeah.
So like it can happen. And you think about a guy like Lamar, for example. It's a very similar situation. Crazy arm, crazy athleticism. He didn't play until the playoff game his rookie year, basically.
Mhm.
And there was a reason for that. He needed to learn how to fucking play quarterback. And with Richardson, he got hurt immediately. The Titans are just kind of like a gross offense. Like their line's really bad. They don't have a squad that I think is really going to give Levis much of a chance right now.
Yeah.
But I do feel like they need to do they just got to reel him in. I guess plain and simple.
Yeah.
Although I will say if they don't, it's going to provide more entertainment for us. So, I mean, I'm good either way. I'm not a Titans fan.
Yeah, I don't know. Will Levis is funny because like he has those flashy moments and he's entertaining, but
Yeah.
like God, I mean, he just turned himself into a meme the moment he went down to his knees with his hands on his head.
I know, but
Yeah. Go
Like
it
I've
kind
seen-
of makes me like him. I don't know why. Like he's kind of making me a fan.
He's kind of been a meme his entire quarterback career. I mean, everyone has been like, "Oh, he puts mayo in his coffee. He eats the banana peel when he eats
Yeah.
a banana." Like,
and then
what's
they're like,
wrong
"Oh,
with
he's
this
got a
guy?
hot girlfriend," and then
And
didn't
then
get
he-
drafted in the first round. They're like, "Oh, she's gonna leave him." Poor guy.
Like every news about Will Levis is somehow hilarious, even though it's not supposed to be.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's bad yet. Like he could be really good. He's an enigma.
He gives me Sam Howell vibes. He's like shown me signs. Okay, you can play in the league, but then he does things where I'm like, that's not great. But you can still move the ball. So like,
Yeah.
unlike players like Trubisky, where like there's just certain quarterbacks like I can like, well, the eye test we'll call it. Just like you watch a guy, okay, the offense isn't doing anything, and like Bryce Young, the offense can't do anything with him under
It's
center.
one thing to be bad. You can't be bad and boring. And
I-
that's what he's been so
And
far.
I think, dude, honestly, I feel like the Panthers have a good chance of winning with Andy Dalton. Remember we played them last year with Dalton, and it like, I mean, it wasn't that tough of a game.
But Dalton can kind of wheel and deal sometimes.
Yeah, and remember the couple years ago, I think it was 2019's opening game. We played
when
the
he was on the
Bengals at
Bengals
home,
still, yeah,
and we almost lost.
yeah.
Yeah, I was at that game, and he was like cooking us. So,
Dude, well, he's really good at just like being captain check down, which is again kind of in right now.
Mhm.
So the Panthers, especially with a guy like Thielen, who he runs like a 4.9, but he gets open. He's
Yeah.
kind of like the Jake Bobo, but more prolific, and that could work with this Panthers offense. It's not like it's not like Bryce Young's had a horrible protection. It hasn't been best in the league, but it's been like middle or top third. So he hasn't had bad pass protection, and his receivers are bad, but you got Thielen. Like, he's old, but he gets open.
yeah.
So I don't know. I think benching him is the right thing because right now Bryce is just going out there and killing his confidence.
It's also like it's kind of nice that they're benching him and putting Dalton out there, because at least putting Dalton out there, you're seeing like, okay, is it Bryce? Like what? Let's see what we have with our team with him at quarterback, because
Yeah.
if we play well, it's not good in Bryce's case, and if they play bad, it's also not good
Because then they're fucked because they traded all their picks for Bryce Young.
and no one to help him. So yeah,
Yeah, it's so wild how that one touchdown the Texans scored on like 4th and 20 with 2 seconds left to end their season.
it changed so many timelines
like,
for so
changed
many teams.
history. Yeah, that throw in 2022, 2022 made them get CJ Stroud instead of Bryce Young. Probably. I mean, we never know. Maybe they would have taken him number 1 overall for all we know. But it's one of the biggest like butterfly effect moments in recent memory for sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a whole lot else. Like we said earlier in the week, we're going to be doing a Sunday night pod to do the immediate reactions from the game, and then the video episodes will be more of a preview for the week to come. I like doing our pods on Wednesdays. That way, like, we do it the day before the start of the new week, and then we post it Thursday when we start.
Yeah, I think we got a good thing going here.
Yeah,
we'll keep it up. So yeah, you'll be seeing our mugs again on Sunday, hopefully celebrating a big win for the Hawks.
Yes. And if you haven't checked out the fantasy sketch video Colby and I made, go check it out. It's on the Instagram page and the YouTube.
More to come on that.
Yes.
Also.
But, all right. Well, that's going to do it for me here. Wrap things up, and thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Yep. See you later.